Some of you might want to, but there's some things that I'm not going to do, and it's a social. You might do it at home, right? Or somebody you're comfortable with. But you know, we have this kind of double check before we do something. We kind of have this rational brain, which is what I was just talking about. Look at the consequences, weigh them. What are the relative merits of the consequences? Should I? What would be the best thing? That's our own immediate rational mind, which is trying to grapple with moral decisions or ethical philosophies in that. But I think there's two other minds. I was in the Detroit airport back in the late 80s. I was flying to do the Phil Donahue show, a show about is there life after death. And I was changing planes in Detroit, and I was in line to get on the gate. And there was another line of people over here. It was really crowded at night. Another line of people over here. And I wasn't paying much attention, but there was a young couple that had a little baby in the baby carrier thing, and they had it on this luggage. Their luggage was on a cart thing, and the baby carrier was sitting on top of the luggage, about like this high. And I don't know what I was thinking about. I wasn't thinking about the Ten Commandments or how can I show the world that atheists can be moral people. I wasn't thinking about Jesus or Allah. I was just probably thinking about what they're going to say in the show tomorrow, the Phil Donahue show. But the corner of my eye saw that the dad must have left. The dad must have walked away or something. The corner of my eye saw that baby kick, and that baby carrier rolled off the top of that luggage. And I went, I saw myself do that. I didn't think about it. I just instinctively reached over, and I caught that thing just before it started to tumble all the way, and I grabbed one side of it like this. And then the mother, about a second later, she grabbed the other side of it. She would have been too late. That was like a hard floor. And what I said to her was, that was scary. You know, that was scary. And I almost didn't want to give her baby back. I was like, but of course I gave her. You should have seen the look that she gave her husband. But why did I do that? I wasn't deliberating. I wasn't thinking. I wasn't looking up some rules. It was totally instinctive, and you would have done the same thing. Every one of you would have done, except maybe there might be a couple of, I don't know, maybe. I'm not going to guess. I mean, assuming that we're all mentally healthy, you know, you would have done the same thing. It was a natural, instinctive, animal thing that happened to me without any frontal or conscious moral reasoning. It was just something that I did, that I had to do. It was like watching somebody else, you know. And that was instinctive. It wasn't my own mind doing it. It was the mind of my ancestors that did that. My ancestors, we realized for the survivability of our species, it's better off not to have babies fall on the floor, right? It's better off for the species. And those ancestors of mine and yours, who were more protective of children and were able to do that, were more likely to survive. And so they passed down this infant protection, whatever you want to call it, instinct that I don't have to think about. It's built into me as a human being. And there's a lot of these instincts that are built into us. I used to preach that we were born with original sin. I actually now think that we and other species as well are born with original good. We have within us this built-in altruism, this empathy that you see in other mammals and other non-mammals too. You see them in birds and things. You see this sort of protection of trying to minimize harm, basically, but not through a rational process. So I think I should be thanking the decisions that my ancestors made way back in the distant past, which then, because of natural selection, came down to us. We all come, to some degree, pre-packaged with some moral instincts. Of course, we live in a different environment now than we did back then, and so sometimes they don't fit right. Sometimes we also come pre-packaged with violent instincts. We have these canine teeth here, don't we? What were they for? Ripping open meat, right? Ripping open other things. I mean, if we had to, any one of us could be violent. Even the most loving, peaceful mother would turn into a raging animal if somebody's attacking her kids. You know that. We all have that within us. And yet, our species is able to check those instincts. Because sometimes our instincts truly are going to be good, and sometimes they aren't. Sometimes we're going to make a mistake. And I think this frontal lobe is a good sort of balance to what our natural instincts are as well. I think there's a third mind. I don't think it's a very good one, but there is a third mind besides the mind of our ancestors and our own mind. And I think that's the mind of society, or we call it law. The collective decisions of a large body of people who have deliberated over a long period of time to come up with a social construct that we call law.